All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're with CB10 Speaks. I'm your host, Bailey Jeremy, and I am here with the Dr. Iesha Sekou of Street Corner Resources. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. And I'm really excited to be here. I didn't realize that the community board had a real podcast. So I'm so impressed. Yeah. And the other thing I want to say, and this is not blowing smoke or anything, this is true from my heart, that I truly appreciate Community Board 10. It's been a long time when from conception of Street Corner Resources to now. My ex-husband was on Community Board 10 years ago. I won't say 100 years ago. He's also Dr. Sekou. And, it's just amazing the leaps and bounds Street Corner Resources has come. And people like Stanley Gleaton and, all of these other folks that have been on the Community Board. Community Board 10, even to now, has supported the work of Street Corner. And I just want to say I'm grateful and thankful. I think we have the best community board in the city. I'll go on record with that.
I agree with that. And I will extend an appreciation to you because you definitely keep CB10 in the know. I think it's really great when your team comes in with the updates.
Thank you.
And just keep us informed as a board and as a community at large. So I really appreciate that. But for those who don't know, can you speak a little bit about Street Corner Resources and the main mission and focus of the organization?
So Street Corner Resources started somewhere around 2002 in name, not in action. And I say that to make the difference is because the work of Street Corner Resources began almost as from me being in college, when I was in college, right? I finished from Bethune-Cookman, which is now the university. But when I was in school, even before I went to school, my mother, who had been an activist, I come from an activist household. My mother was a Black Panther. We always had a business going. My mother ran daycare. So I was always in the not-for-profit world. I didn't realize it was the not-for-profit world. I was always an activist. And so when people would say, now you're an activist, I didn't believe that I was one. I was told my mother, I said, they're saying I'm an activist. She said, you are. So this work really began with me as a young person. It really began with me as a young person, and not just dealing with the issue of violence, but dealing with community. I thought everybody did what my mother was doing, right? And then I thought, like, all of their kids did the same thing that my mother had us doing, making signs for protests, figuring out ways to make change and to make things better. She would send us to Miss Mamie's house to, go get her groceries. I thought that's what people did, literally, because that's what we did every day. So when I think about the inception and conception of Street Corner Resources, it was always in my spirit to do something. And my mother would always say, that's Big Shirley, big shout out to Big Shirley. She's no longer with us, but she's with us. She would say, if you didn't like something, and if something rubbed you the wrong way, or if you didn't agree with it, then do something about it. Now, I remember there was a major shooting out on Lenox Avenue, and I was upset the way it was handled. And she said, well, if you don't like the way it was handled, do something about it. And so that do something about it, even at her funeral, we were saying that. People were repeating it back and forth. It's still the same spirit that I move in. And so Street Corner Resources is the do something about it. Young people not getting services that they need because of the way that they look, they dress, the pants are sagging. People be like, don't let him in here. Those Daddy and them are outside. Lock the door. Instead of trying to figure out ways to help them, they would close them out. So Street Corner Resources was basically founded on the idea to make education, employment, training, and other resources mobilely accessible in the community. So the mobile unit that we have now, I don't know if you all have seen it, but that mobile unit was 10 years coming, but it was the crux of, or the thought of, how do we better serve the community? We had to talk to Day Day and Bubba and JJ and all of them outside on the corner because it was beginning to become a quality of life issue with shootings and stabbings and that kind of thing. So Street Corner Resources was named by my mother, but born out of the desire, the passion to serve those who most people didn't want to let in. And even at that time, some parents didn't want those young people inside their own home where they lived. They would say, don't come home until like 11 and everybody else go, but it's a school night and these kids are outside. So, we were glad when our former mayor de Blasio, I had submitted the proposal for the mobile unit. We didn't have a space, right? And so I had submitted the proposal and everybody said, oh, you need an office, you need this, you need that. But I had done all of the necessary paperwork. Anyway, de Blasio called me one day while I was at a convention with the National Action Network. And the phone rang, we were having lunch, and he says, this is your mayor, Bill. And I said, yeah, right. I said, and I'm the president, Obama, or whatever it was, right? And he said, no, he said, I got your proposal. Why? For the mobile unit. That's when I knew it had to be him because the things that he knew about the proposal. And he said, listen, he said, I'm not going to make a promise. He said, but if I were able to find the money for the mobile unit, would you be okay with one in every borough? I said, I would be more than okay because we want our community served. So anyway, long story short, the money came. He gave us $250,000 for the mobile unit. Same thing with our funding before that. It was just so odd how things happened, right? So we have funding for the organization. And the rest is history. We continued to build. And where we were on a corner with a crate at one time, there are people who still say, I remember she was on a corner with a crate and had a shopping cart in the parade. I'm glad that they have a memory because the growth of Street Corner has been enormous, and it's not all because of me. I have a team. I have you all from Community Board 10 voices, people that speak up and they speak to the work, right? People that we've helped and they speak to the work. So Street Corner Resources has been growing. We have over $3 million in contracts. Whoa. But that's contracts. So I don't want people be like, she got money. So let me tell you how it works in the city because I like for it to be clear for people who listen to this podcast because we need help where funding is concerned. So money in the city, from the city, is what's called reimbursable, right? So it's like you have to take your own money and go to the store with it, pay your staff, pay your rent. And rent is high. This is Harlem, right? And then you have to pay your staff. So I have about 32 people on, consultants and everything that have to be paid. And then we have a regular staff that takes care of the community. And we have hospital responders at the hospital. So it's a big amount of responsibility. But we have to do it. We have to spend money, which means you have to have it. And you have to spend it. And then you do an invoice to get reimbursed. So the money in the city right now, and this is an important point, that's why I'm making it, is what's called, it's reimbursable. So we're in the process, and I'm probably a pretty big voice. The mayor said it himself. Iesha, we know. We need to figure out how to make the money liquid. We do. Because this issue of gun violence is not to be played with. When people see how serious it is, it's when it's their niece, their nephew, their neighbor's kid, their own child. And then they call me and say, what did you need us to do? We don't want to wait until it's in people's households that I love and care about and see. We need to take care of this. We need to make sure that organizations, not just Street Corner Resources, but organizations get money that they can actually spend and that they don't have to kind of like sell your soul to go get money to spend to get reimbursed. Got it?
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure I made that point.
What would you say the community could do to support Street Corner Resources?
Okay, so there are a number of things. So I'll start with the issue of violence, not just gun violence. Yesterday, I was driving to go to my office, right? And on the way, I saw the mental health police car, which, so everybody knows it's green. It has green stripes on it. It's white, blue, and green. That's for mental health. So I see the police car turn in front of a business. I know those business owners. And I stopped. And there was a kid in there, and the blood was shooting out of his wrist.
Oh, wow.
Right? He had been stabbed. So when I asked, when you ask what can the community do, is one, be on point in your neighborhood. If we had everybody being on point, we would see those things, right? And so what I saw was the young person who ran into his family's shop to be safe. He had been stabbed. When I went in, because I talked with the police often at the precinct council meetings and meetings like that. And I always say, do something when you're there. And it's the same for the community. If you're there and blood is shooting out of the kid's arm, take your shirt off, wrap it up, and stop the bleed. Do something, right? If you have a young person, so that's just one thing, to do something about what you see. The other thing is if you see this young person looking blank every single day and you pass by him, that's your kid. Whether you like it or not, he or she is yours because they are presented to you. So if they are presented to you, no matter how they look, how they smell, how they talk, say something to them, address them. You know, I talk to probably more young people with the attitude and all that. Be like, yo, miss, like, not right now. And I say, no, right now. I say, I'm going to get us a sandwich and we got to have a moment. And they be like, and they really become dear and near because we can't help them if we leave them where they are. They're angry for a reason. They don't have resources. Their families are getting evicted in a place that has been gentrified to the 100th degree, right? And they want to be with their friends, but they're not in the same building because the moment you don't pay your rent, you get put out. So we have to talk to them because there's a backdrop story, right? That has these young people in the places where they are. And then we begin to see violence because of survival, because of protection. They're with the wrong people. You understand, expecting them to protect them. You stay in the gang house, they give you a gun. You got to go do what they tell you to do. So what you see is not always just it. Oh, yeah. It's always something else going on. So when we say, what can we do? Because that's the original question. We can begin to talk to those young people that are just in our immediate circle. Yeah. And sometimes they're in your house. Yeah. Right? Your nephew, your niece that might be staying with you, your son, your daughter, your cousin. Begin to have conversations. And, you know, I'm a talker, but I know when I'm with young people, I shut up. You understand? You ask the question, so what's going on?
You do.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
And then you get quiet and then let them begin, give them a moment because they'll feel the air. They will fill the air. They will not leave it blank. And then they'll be like, no, y'all miss, not for nothing. I don't have a place to stay. I've been sleeping on the staircase. We hear that, like stuff that surprise you, that situations they're in. You know, you'll hear a girl say, I was raped by my uncle and my uncle lives in my house. So I'm not staying there. I'm staying with Mr. So-and-so and now he's touching me. You see what I mean? So violence comes out of those situations that are difficult for our young people, that they don't know how to navigate. Right. They get kicked out of school. They don't have an advocate to get them back in. Right. So they just don't go back. Mm-hmm. They just give up. They throw in the towel. So when you say, what can the community do? The community can begin to get involved. The community can begin to talk to young people and then talk to what they call the indigenous leaders. Indigenous leaders are not people that we elect. They are the people in the neighborhood. That's the OGs that's sitting around shining up the tires on their car. Have conversation with them because they are eyes and ears. They see the one that's headed for trouble, right? Talk to the lady in the laundromat. Yeah. You understand? Or Papo who hangs around the laundromat fixing the machines and stuff, right? But he sees everything. We have to become more communal. Mm-hmm. And we have, as a people, Black and Latino people, have been that. We have left that. We went to the mind your own business. We got to get out of mind your own business. It is our business. These are our kids. Because if we don't mind the business of the community, that will show up inside our own homes, inside our workspaces, inside our travel places. We'll begin to see violence show up. So we have to become more involved. That's what the community can do. And I say, get on the community. But I always tell people, they say, oh, Iesha, I need you to help with my organization. We're going to do this. Go to the community board meeting. Get to meet the key players in the neighborhood. You're not going to find what you find at the community board just on any corner, right? All of the folks come together. They're at when I want to talk to folks, I go to community board meeting. You understand? That's how I met most people. I know they got tired of me asking for a mobile unit, and they said, somebody help find funding for that mobile unit. And we had meetings, and people really tried. And then so now we have the mobile unit. It goes out just about every day. We engage people. We used it all throughout the pandemic. And that was supported through our precinct council meeting, community board, community members, business owners, and some elected officials. So I would just say people get involved. If you want to start something, just start doing it. Don't worry about the money. When you do the thing that you love and that drives your passion, the money will show up and the help will show up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm grateful.
Thank you so much for all of that. So you heard it here on CB10 Speaks, Dr. Iesha Sekou on the Public Safety Forum.
And they can find us on the gram at Street Corner Res, on Facebook at Street Corner Res, in the street on 145th Street, 151 West 145th Street. And, we outside, we don't hide, so we're not hard to find.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, peace and blessings.